Hello world, it's Lee Kelson coming to you live again from, start me up,
Hong Kong Festival, the Impact Summit. It's 5 days of madness of startups. That's what's happening.
That's it. Thanks for filling it in, Bay, because I've been doing this for 5 days, so it's brain's starting to tick over. So I'm here with Bay McLaughlin. You've just been, have you done your talk on stage? I didn't get a chance to see it, but just give us a little bit of your background.
Sure. My name is Bay McLaughlin, one of the co-founders of Brinc.io. We're an early stage venture accelerator, so we have 7 accelerators around the world, and we're looking at different types of technologies and problems like IoT, connected hardware, drones, robotics, food technologies, and we really care about passion, like really deep passions for problems around how we move, how we live, what we eat, and then how we feel. And we've been doing this about 4.5, 5 years. I've been in Asia 5 years now, spent 10 years in Silicon Valley, so I'm very, very happy to see this whole program grow up over the last 5 years and really how much impact we're having in Hong Kong now.
Yeah. So tell us, 10 years in Silicon Valley, what did you do in the Valley?
Worked at Apple, 2 startups, 1 failed, 1 exited, then started advising and working with venture capital firms, and then I moved here trying to see that connection between Asia and the rest of the world. My wife's bright idea, not mine, to come here, but saw the obvious connection of, wait a second, I really thought a big part of the future of humanity's challenges and problems and solutions we're going to start moving east, not just come from the west. And having been here for 5 years and how much my business has grown and how many teams we've been investing, it's very clear that a big sort of center of power and energy is really shifting here to the east.
Yeah. And I think one of the big things that we keep hearing all week is that, I think it's a fantastic conversation. We're talking about sustainability, we're talking about circular economies, we're talking about how do we move from this crazy madness of consumerism and start to become more sustainable.
Well, it's actually our topic on our panel was about impact investing, healthcare, artificial intelligence, like how does this all work together?
Yep.
And at the end of the day, you have to make a company that makes some money, that can keep the lights on.
Yep.
So we're not for profits, right?
Yep.
It's actually the best way to solve the world's problems is through creating sustainable businesses.
Yep.
Because one great quote from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation was, if every single rich person donated all of their wealth simultaneously, it would not even get close to the amount of money required to really solve the world's problems. So I think it's really important to have both sides of your brains. And for me, it's always about like this whole unicorn bullshit is like not helpful either.
Right.
It's like trying to take both sides of your brain. It's how do you build sustainable companies that make money, that can grow to a scale that can have real impact, but really not kind of chase the hype and the madness and the stuff that really doesn't matter. Like, having an exit and how your valuation and your investors and blah, blah, like that stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I think that's what this whole conference is about when we're trying to kind of change the narrative. But let's get back to the basics of what really matters.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really happy that WL has put this on.
Yeah. So one of my favourite topics is this unicorn bullshit, as you call it, right? I mean, we put these post people up as, like that's what it's got to be. And a lot of young people I talk to it's almost like there's a feeling that unless they've been a billionaire unicorn, they've been unsuccessful.
I was probably part of this problem. Being in Silicon Valley for 10 years, the hype really starts there and then kind of comes the rest of the world, unfortunately. Yeah. And one of the things I do in all my global talks is I always tell governments and investors, like, stop trying to copy Silicon Valley. Right. There are amazing problems you can solve here and great durable businesses that are going to hire, deploy capital, pay taxes, like build your economy, really solve problems locally. And so I'm hoping that that's a little bit, slowing down, or where they have enough kind of firepower trying to fight that. But yeah, that pressure is really scary. I mean, the idea that someone feels like their net worth is associated with their personal worth is terrifying. And I think that that's a really negative and scary narrative in the media. And certainly tech has exacerbated that, right? Because software can scale very quickly. You get these really crazy multiples. But I think I'm 35, so I think in your 20s, you're kind of a little diluted, you think about stuff that really doesn't matter. It's sort of like your early days as an entrepreneur, for anyone to know, is your early days about your ego, right? It's about satisfying me. Yeah. And hopefully we can start helping people recognize, imagine a time in 5 years or 10 years from now where entrepreneurs, 22-year-old or whoever says, you know what? My company helped 10,000 people this year do X.
Right.
And maybe, I raised money and maybe I was on a big stage doing a TED Talk or whatever, but that wasn't the point.
Right.
10,000 people, this year, helped their families shop that they're diagnosed with diabetes. We created food and options for them to live a healthier lifestyle with their disease, and hopefully delaying, the negative impacts of that unfortunate disease. That would be a great narrative to start sharing.
But that's about changing the metrics, isn't it? It's like, and I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years, like you, had some failures, had some successes. But somewhere along the line, it is always inextricably linked to the wealth that you've created for yourself. Whereas now, at 51 years old, it ain't that important anymore, and it's more about how can I make an impact. So it's about changing the narrative and the metrics.
Yeah, on the other side, I also have to say, this whole narrative in Silicon Valley when I was there was this concept of entrepreneurs were perpetually poor. And this idea of, I have to be an entrepreneur, I felt that pressure. I started my first software company when I was 24. I didn't know shit, right? I was doing it because I thought I was supposed to. I actually look back and the idea actually wasn't half bad, but I didn't know anything, right? And I think the challenge that is sort of like both sides of the same coin, where I think it's become overly blown and overhyped that it's about money, money, money. But on the other hand, I think we all know, once you have some money, it's really clear that you can do so much more and you have options. And so I think it's a tough kind of needle to thread. But I think if you're young, let's say in your 20s, I always tell young entrepreneurs or anyone, or even just people that have jobs, use your 20s and the currencies you have around experiences and access. Money you'll make at 28 will be look like zero when you're 46, right? All the money you made that year, you'll start making in 2 weeks or a month when you're 56 or 40, whatever. So if you can just realize it's about learning and experiencing, getting access in your 20s and relax a bit and not be so stressed about hitting the numbers. But at the same time, be smart, saving money. I feel badly when I meet entrepreneurs or young people and they just don't have options. They made bad mistakes. They didn't have a roommate. That's my new crazy thing in Hong Kong. No one has roommates. What the hell are we talking about? I had roommates till I got married, right? It's save money. Right. That's such a no-brainer. So I think it's important to look at both sides of the conversation.
Yeah. So Brinc, check it out. What's the best way to find you? Brinc?
Brinc.io. If you want to talk to me personally on Twitter, Instagram, just Beta Bay, B-E-T-A-B-A-Y. But we're looking to talk to anyone that has a physical desire, physical innovation in food, drones, robotics, any connected devices, and we're everywhere. We have accelerators in Hong Kong, India, Poland, Bahrain. We'll be announcing more and more, and we have venture funds for follow-on capital for people that are later stage. So if you're a physical innovator and you want some help, we'd love to work together.
Fantastic, mate. It's been great talking to you, mate.
Thanks so much.
And one more thing, what's your favourite surf spot on the Gold Coast?
Kerumah Alley, but my new spot is in Lombok, Indonesia. That's coming up.
Yeah.
Trust.
Don't tell anyone that.
Thanks.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.